Welcome back to UNX Fast Forward, your daily dose for everything ninja. I'm Ethan Swanson.
And I'm Chris DeGangi, and we are fresh off of our very first major event, where we're going to be looking at the men's side of things today.
And on the men's side, there were so many powerful athletes, from young guns to veterans who've been in it for years, experienced athletes. We had so many amazing moments because of the variety of powerful athletes.
Yeah, and so we're done with our first major, but now we have 2 more to go before our championship, where if you want to get to the championship, you got to be in the top 8 men or top 8 women. And to get to our second major, those open qualifiers that we had before reset.
Right.
So that's your chance to get in.
Yep, and then after the second major, it happens again, where there'll be 4 more qualifiers to get into the third major. And then after all that, top 8 men, top 8 women, into the championship on February 15th.
But now, after our first major, we have our first season points. So these athletes who placed in our major event now have season points leading up to the championship.
Right, and there's 3 opportunities to get those points: Major 1, Major 2, and Major 3. So right now there's some athletes in a pretty good spot, and some athletes, getting a little bit of points, but you know that there are going to be a lot of other athletes trying to just get here in Major number 2 and fight for points to get in that top 8 spot.
So now that our athletes have points for the season, let's take a look at the first place. Daniel Gill with 100 points for the season. That's a good start heading for the championship.
As good a start as any. It's the best start, and putting himself in a great spot. We talk about got to be a top 8 athlete, but those points scale down. First place is so much greater than everybody else, and he did it in such a powerful fashion. After semifinals, 3rd place, and then after the first round of the finals, 1st place, and never let it up.
Yeah, and so when Daniel ran in the first round of the finals, he ran after Drew, which was our first finisher at 225 for the first round. And on the starting platform, he looked at me because the athletes are allowed to know the others' times for that round, and I told him it was 225, and then he comes out and puts up a time of 2:01.
Right, more than 20 seconds faster on a course like that is unreal. Honestly, seeing Drew's time, I thought it was untouchable. And then Daniel came on, did that, and it was like, what is happening? It was insane what he did. And actually, what's funny is he didn't have to run his last run, the second run of the finals. And after the stream ended, he actually ran a fun run and did 1:40 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, unofficial time, 1:40 seconds, extremely impressive. But just in that first finals run, he just never stopped. He just went for it. And I mean, I think he made it through the first couple of obstacles so fast. And I think he took maybe like 10 seconds before the salmon ladder, like nothing at all.
Right. And I just got to say, I called it. I called Daniel Gill taking 1st place. I think he's the guy to beat. And even in the semifinals, he took 3rd place. But the thing is, he looked so composed when he got there. Other athletes got there a little faster and burned out. They couldn't complete the rodeo ropes. And he just got his swing crazy and decided to jump off. And he told Marley in the interview afterwards, she asked what happened. He said, well, I knew I could maybe fix it and complete. But he's like, there's 2 more runs left, hopefully. And he didn't want to burn himself out. So he decided, I'm going to cut my losses here, hopefully move on to the first round of the finals, and then improve on it. And he did big time.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. Save yourself a little bit. If you think you're moving on to the finals, save yourself, and then go out and do what he did and take 1st place.
Yeah, and talking about 2nd place, Jake Murray, and what a road to 2nd place he had. I mean, he barely qualified. He was 4th place in the first qualifier for UNX, squeaked in, and then he comes in and he gets to the first round of the finals. In the first round of the finals, he's in 4th place, and a big move in the second round of the finals to get to 2nd place. I mean, constantly improving and taking that 2nd place spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at his second run of the finals, he wasn't quite on Daniel's pace, but he moved so fast. And the impressive thing is he moved at that pace. And I know we talk about Jake being a rock climber, and it showed on those rodeo ropes. Just had the grip strength. I never doubted for a second he was going to get past those rodeo ropes.
Yep, you knew he was going to pull it together. He's so good when it comes to grip strength, grip endurance also. I mean, he's such a focused athlete too. He thinks about the course really tough and strategizes really well. But 2nd place in semis, 4th place in the first round of finals, 2nd place in the finals. What a great performance from Jake this entire major event.
Yeah, and absolutely consistent. Like you said, 2nd place semis, that's just so consistent. Every single time he stepped onto the course, he was getting to the end, to the rodeo ropes.
Yep, and his final time, 2:09, only 8 seconds behind Daniel's, which is That's crazy.
Yeah, and so in third place, we got to talk about Drew Drechsel. Had a time of 2:25 on his first run, and coming into that second run of the finals, you knew he was going to go for some crazy stuff, and he came out flying, and it was so exciting. And then you could see when he grabbed the loaded rope, he wasn't quite set, and he didn't want to take the extra second to settle himself, went for it, and just got crooked.
And he told me before his run, and he said, hey, this was amazing, he goes, I want to go so fast that the crowd forgets to cheer. That's what he said, but he also said, and you got to give him credit for saying this, he's like, I'm going to do some things that they're either going to work out and be unreal, or it's just going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
And so he knew, he's like, you know what, he's already sitting in third place at the worst, and with his run, he could put himself in a second or first, but why not go all out? He's already sitting in a great spot points-wise for the season, and he went for it. Unfortunately, didn't work out. He just got a little crazy on that swing going to the trapeze, but you got to give it to him for going for it.
Yeah, you got to give it to him for going for it. There's really no fixing it once you get on that rope and you get crooked like that. We saw him try to fix it, and it just ate up so much time. And when you're going for a run like that, as soon as there's a mistake and you kind of know that your run, like you're wasting time and your run is over, it's so hard mentally to stay into it and to say like, there's still a chance, and then it just, as the time keeps clicking and clicking, it's over.
Yeah, and it's a big rope like that. Once you start getting elliptical and away from where you want to go, it's really difficult to fix, if not impossible, to fix your swing.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away from his first run. That was his second run. He was going for crazy big moves, but his first run was still so impressive. It held up throughout the second round of finals to keep him in that third place spot, and he was the first finisher at 2:25.
He was the first finisher on the men's side, and I remember looking at you going, yes, we finally got a finisher, because we had no finishers in the semis up to the point, none in the finals up to that point, and honestly, I was thinking, did we just crush them out there? Were we just crushing souls? But thank you, Drew, for breaking through.
It's so hard as a course designer to predict what these athletes are going to do, especially in isolation, which is a new added element of this major. It's so hard to predict how they're going to go out there, how they're going to attack the course.
Yep.
And I think what we saw in the semis is athletes just rushing and sprinting and trying to get through everything without taking the appropriate rest.
Right, and that's a great segue into some of our most shocking falls, first of which, Kyle Soderman, unfortunately, he is so fast and so reckless, but usually he's reckless, but he's able to execute. And this time, just going for that second set of rings, missed his hands, and that was it in the semis. And that was somebody we expected to go really far in the competition.
Yeah, I think we've seen Kyle move at a fast pace a lot, and so, it's hard for me to explain what happened because I think he's used to going fast, so I don't think it was the strategizing going fast that got him.
So, yeah.
I really just think this came down to just a 100% mistake. It just happens.
Just a fluke. Every once in a while you miss something, and when you're trying to go that fast, a tough thing is you don't get to see, like you're saying, isolation. You don't get to see anybody else's beta, so you kind of just have to go for stuff. You have to go. It's just your course, and he's thinking it's the second obstacle. He's probably thinking harder about stuff that's later on in the course, thinking I just got to get through this really quick, and then miss a hand.
Yeah, there's really nothing else to it. I think it's just a fluke. Hopefully we'll see Soderman come back.
I'm sure we will. He qualified twice.
Yeah.
He took a third place in Tourist Fitness. He would have qualified again. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll see him get back to the majors. But somebody else, another athlete that I'm almost certain will be back, Najee Richardson, unfortunately falling on the flying doors twice, both in the semis and in his first run in the finals.
Well, I actually had a chance to catch up with Naj after the competition, and he's actually nursing a knee injury. And so he was showing me how far he could bend that leg, and he doesn't have full bend to his leg because of his knee. And so when you're on those flying doors, you really want to be scrunched down. You want to have your knees bent so you can get a good grip with your feet, which he just couldn't get. And so it was just really hard for him to push through that injury and get past that obstacle.
Yeah, really tough obstacle if you have any type of knee injury. And it's funny because he told me the same thing. He said that's why whenever he lands, you see him spring forward and roll out because he can't squat down. He can't bend his knees to absorb any landing. But, another athlete who was surprised on the doors was Joe Meisner. Actually beat the doors in the semis. So I was thinking, okay, he's going to get back to the rodeo ropes, and he's going to beat it and beat the course. And then he fell on the dismount of the flying doors in his second run.
Yeah, that was really shocking to me. Joe is, I think, in terms of the athletes that were here, he has some of the best grip strength that I've seen from a competitor. And I thought the doors weren't really going to be an issue for him, and through the semis I saw him get past it, and I thought, okay, like he made that look pretty easy, and then I don't exactly know what happened in the finals.
I think it's just a little foot slip, and the problem is on those doors is when you're on the side like that, if you slip down and you lose footing, it's so hard. The grip is so difficult. You got to be insane level of inhuman strength to be able to pull yourself up just on your hands and then fix your feet. And you saw him. He got his knee on that little green foothold, and he was able to hold it. And you can see him like, oh no, like I'm here, but I can't go anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean that was a tough one to watch, especially him completing in the semis. But then another big fall. A huge, screaming, gritting your teeth fall was Michael Torres on the rodeo ropes. I thought he got there in the semis and he couldn't get through the obstacle, but I thought, okay, he's held on to it once. He knows what it feels like. I really thought we were going to see him finish in the finals, and you could see the grit on his face. It was amazing.
Well, I think it came down to something you brought up before, is just rest time. Is because isolation, people not knowing where they're supposed to go or what the time is. I think he rushed it both times. I think he had so much time. If he wanted to rest it under 30 seconds or even a minute, he had the time to do that and still beat the course, but he decided, no, I'm going to try to set a good pace. I'm going to try to set a great time. And unfortunately, in the first round of the finals, that decision cost him going to the second round of the finals. I think if he would have rested another 30 seconds, which he had more than enough time to do, he would have completed it, and then he would have been moving on. He would have been the fifth finisher.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the finals, to get into the top 5, you just needed to finish. But I think that's an interesting thing that we're going to see in these majors going forward is the rest management. How do you take your rest when you're in isolation? You don't know what the other times are of some of these other competitors. It's just hard to plan for, especially in the semis. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting seeing that going forward.
Yeah, and that's our men's side of the competition. And what's interesting is those, top 3 athletes, Daniel, Jake, and then Drew. On the women's side, our top 3 guaranteed into the next major. But since Daniel and Drew are already guaranteed, it bumps down to now Caleb is guaranteed in the next major and Donovan Matoyer. So we have Jake, Caleb Bergstrom, and Donovan Matoyer guaranteed into the second major event, which is awesome.
Yeah, so they're definitely going to the major event. They're guaranteed. They earned that right to get into the second major. And just to recap on them real quick, because we didn't go over them, just Caleb coming out, only finisher at Ninja Quest, had an extremely impressive run here at the finals. And also Donovan with his speed, and we saw it at Traverse Fitness. He's a very fast competitor. I love that they're in the second major, and what do you think going forward?
It's so tough because I gotta say it. My predictions were pretty on point. It was Daniel, Drew, Jake, and then my dark horse was Donovan. Boom, 4 of them in the top 5. Thank you very much. My women's predictions a little further off, but no, I'm really excited to see all these athletes come back into the second major, in addition to the other 12 men that are going to earn their way through the qualifiers. But tomorrow on UNX Fast Forward, we're going to go through some stats and ninja killers and obstacle highlights and action and some of the things you didn't see at the first major event. And that's tomorrow on the next UNX Fast Forward. And until then, I'm Ethan Swanson.
And I'm Chris Ganji, and we'll see you next time.